Hello and welcome to another reading wrap-up catch-up. We're going to be talking about the 10 books I read in May in 2019. Because nothing says regularly scheduled content like making a bunch of videos at the end of the year. The way these wrap-ups work is that all of the books are sorted by genre instead of in the order that I read them, because I like more structure in these videos than I do in my brain. There are only 2 genres because I read 9 young adult fiction books and 1 non-fiction book. So let's get started with young adult fiction, my favorite genre. I read a trilogy in May, so I'm going to be reviewing all 3 books at once. Burn with Burn, Fire with Fire, and Ashes to Ashes, all by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. Siobhan Vivian? It was a weird story. It starts with 3 high school girls agreeing to work together to get revenge on the people who have wronged them in the past. It has a few elements of romance thrown in there for fun, but this story is mostly a revenge story. It also slowly turns into a supernatural revenge story, but I can't really explain how it does that because spoilers are a thing, and it happened over 3 books. I don't think the series really handled foreshadowing very well, and all of the characters are pretty flat archetypes without a lot of depth, and the relationships people form in the book are pretty shallow and transactional and don't make sense. But I liked each book enough to continue reading the series. But things really fell apart in the 3rd book for me. I didn't like the epilogue because I think it erased the very minimal growth that the characters had throughout the series. And yeah, it was okay. I read Damselfly by Chandra Prasad. This is a modern retelling of The Lord of the Flies, but girls and brown kids also get trapped on the island. It was sort of weird for me because I did not read Lord of the Flies. Nobody had ever assigned it to me in any of my English classes, and frankly the story has always seemed uninteresting to me, but I don't get to see a lot of South Asian representation in media, so I decided to read this. Our narrator is Sam, a biracial Indian girl who gets trapped on an island with her fencing team when their plane crashes. It seems like it hit a lot of the same beats of Lord of the Flies, as it acts as a modern retelling and also a continuation of the story of the island, but I never read Lord of the Flies, so I don't know. This is also partially a story about teenagers falling apart without the structure provided by society, but also how their differences are magnified along gender, race, and class lines. I thought it was a fine book. I still do not want to read Lord of the Flies, and I probably never will. On the recommendation of a few of my nibblings, I read The Maze Runner by James Dashner. It is about a group of boys who are trapped in the middle of a labyrinth and form their own society as one child is added to their ranks each month under mysterious circumstances, I guess. None of the boys remember anything about their past life, but work to solve the puzzle of the maze and find a way back to society. Suddenly, a girl shows up to their island and she does faintly remember some things about society and her past, so they decide to lock her up. I did not enjoy this book. I thought the characterization was flat among most of the characters, and it seemed like a lot of their problems could be solved by just listening to the one woman in the entire world. I also thought that it might just be that I'm too old for the book where all the characters are the same, but I've read a lot of young adult fiction and middle grade fiction, and I just fundamentally think that this is a poorly written and kind of boring story. I decided not to continue reading the series, but I'm glad I took the recommendation of my nibblings because I care about them. I finally got to reading We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which I got in a summer reading book exchange a couple of years ago, maybe 2015 or 2016. It's been a while. We Were Liars is a story about a very rich family who owns a private island. The story centers around 4 friends, 3 cousins, and their friend who spent every summer on their family private island. This is theoretically a suspense novel, as after an accident a couple of years ago, one of the cousins can't exactly remember what happened the last summer they were all together on the island. It's a biting portrayal of a family who is obsessed with appearances above all else and how it all ends in tragedy. There's a twist ending. It's tragic, I guess. It did actually make for a good summer read. I wish I remembered who gave me the book originally so I could thank them for it again, but it's been several years, so I'm sorry. Thinking about it now, May was really the month that I was clearing out my TBR pile. I read The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, which I was told I would love back when I was in high school, like 10 years ago. Probably around the time the movie was being produced, since a lot of my friends tried to visit the set to meet Logan Lerman and Emma Watson. Anyways, The Perks of Being a Wallflower is a story set in the 90s in Pittsburgh, which was cool because I could really perfectly envision a lot of the setting described since I lived there for the majority of my life. It centers around Charlie, a young boy who is trying to figure out how to grow up, featuring first dates, young love, drugs, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Relatable. This book is somehow nostalgic and very much so in the moment at the same time. It's weird and beautiful and made me homesick for high school, which is not a feeling I thought I could have. I read I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica L. Sanchez. I do not remember why I picked out this book, but I'm glad I did. This story is about Julia, whose big sister Olga recently died after being hit by a bus, and Olga was the good daughter, the perfect daughter. And Julia just can't measure up in her mom's eyes. So when Julia discovers something strange in Olga's belongings, she works to uncover the mystery of her older sister, who wasn't quite what she seemed to be. Julia is trying to keep her family together while dealing with her own depression and anxiety, and this book was great because it really explored the intersections between race, class, citizenship status, and educational level. It was a great book about grief, complex familial relationships, and trying to escape where you came from while also finding a way to hold it close to you. And I really enjoyed it, but it was intense. Speaking of intense stories, One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. It's a lot. The story is about 4 students who are trapped in a room when their peer dies under suspicious circumstances, and as the case is investigated, the 4 students become the prime suspects in what is believed to be a murder case. All of the students come from different cliques, so this book is kind of a Breakfast Club story with star-crossed lovers and murder. The 4 begin to work together to solve the case and clear their names, even though no one is exactly sure if there is a murderer among them. I really like the suspense in this story combined with every character's personal drama as they try to keep their secrets secret and avoid being framed for murder. It was interesting, but I don't think I'm going to read the sequel. Alright, switching right at the end to the only nonfiction book I read in the entire month of May, You Can Tell Just by Looking, and 20 Other Myths About LGBT Life and People by Michael Bronski, Anne Pellegrini, and Michael Amico. Being that I am part of the LGBTQ+ community and have been organizing around these issues for a long time, I didn't learn too much from this book. It's a great book for people who are just starting to get involved in advocacy work, or someone who is just learning about the LGBT community, or trying to figure out where they fit within it. Some of the language around trans issues and people is outdated. This book was published in 2013, and we have made a lot of progress around trans rights since then. It's not a perfect book, but it's a good start, and hopefully there will be an updated version of it soon. Those are the 10 books I read in May. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you have any questions or opinions about the books I talked about, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more from me, you can subscribe, watch another video of mine, or support me on Patreon. And hey, I love you.